Thanks for staying with us. So our hot topic today is a combination of so many things, because especially as a result of the incessant ASUU strike. In the papers today, we read that our president told ASUU enough is enough. As that wasn't good enough, on social media, many people were going for the governor of Rivers State, because there was a front page picture showing the graduation of his son. To compound that, the health workers are also planning a solidarity strike concerning this issue of ASUU. So when you look at how our president is giving them that riot act of enough is enough, and people are still saying our government leaders still have many of the children abroad, would they really take this matter seriously? And now other major agencies are thinking of joining ASUU on this solidarity strike. This is getting worrisome. To crown it all up, our president mentioned it also in the papers today that he's looking forward to just leave. He hasn't been to Daura in over a year. He's tired. So what are your thoughts on all these? Let's start with the ASUU matter, because he is giving them the riot act for the 10th time. And Nigerians are still saying, regardless of this, we're not seeing any way forward. What are your thoughts? You can call us on 081-270-53687, 0913-907-6948. You can also tweet to us at TVC Connect. Please hashtag YourView TVC so we can read your tweets. Enough is enough. We've heard that before. I mean, it's almost like I can almost predict, what the president would say in this kind of situations. But this is graduation season. And many of our leaders, whether we like it or not, we will see their children graduate from between that late June, July, end of July. We're going to see lots of these pictures come out from all over the world, Australia, Canada, US. And anytime it happens, Nigerians come with all the criticisms, ASUU is on strike, and here children. Listen, what are your thoughts on this, Mariam?
It's unfortunate that we're where we are, because it just looks like there can be an agreement or compromise between ASUU and government. If you look at ASUU's stance, you can understand if we have had a memorandum of understanding and you have constantly flouted it, you have not, done your own part of the bargain, and workers have worked this in spite of that, and finally they've put tools down. We cannot insist, that they should go back without government playing its own role. Government has also, on the other hand, made more promises, and even, I think, has gone as far as putting down like a process, a guideline, how they are going to go about resolving the issues. But for now, let's do it for the sake of the children, and everybody go back, to school and let the schools reopen. So I understand where we are right now, but the truth is, it is so embarrassing in today's world that a whole country, especially Nigeria, a country like Nigeria, will just shut down its tertiary education, like shut down for months, not 2 days, not 1 week, like months upon months upon months. Children are just sitting down all across Nigeria, no tertiary education. People should be so embarrassed. That's why the pictures of, them going to celebrate their children abroad just rubs me the wrong way. I'm not saying that you have not done your best, you've not worked hard for your children, but if you're part of the Nigerian government today, and you know that many Nigerian children are at home, it's just so wrong to put these pictures in our faces. Because you're just saying to us that, you know what, you and your ASUU, that's your problem. As long as you can take care of yourself, make your money, then everything doesn't matter. And that's why when people go into office, they don't go into office for the good of the whole of Nigeria. They're not going to the office to try and sort out their problems, because they know that it will just provide them a means to, have enough to take care of themselves and their family away from Nigeria. You now take your children abroad. They school abroad. And then in a few years, you want to bring them back to work in our choicest ministries and departments and agencies. Meanwhile, the Nigerian children that have spent many years just sitting at home waiting for people to put your act together so that they can go back to school, it just seems so unfair.
There's this part of the argument that says even some of the lecturers that are on strike today, some of them, their children are also abroad. And there's that argument. Yes, no, the federal government, those ones definitely. But many of our lecturers too somehow have been able to get their children to school abroad. So people also believe that many of these fights is just about this IPPIS versus UTAS, or the issue of the infrastructure, that is not so much about the learning of these children. It's more about increase my welfare, increase my salary, give me my pension, give me proper staff quarters. It's about me, myself, and I. Although you can argue it, I'm just saying that there are different sides of this coin that people are talking about. Nima, what are your thoughts on this matter?
So when the president calls ASUU and says, ASUU, go back to work, it seems like the president is talking like all of us. You know me, I'm not a policy maker, I'm not any decision maker, I'm not an authority. I cannot do anything about whatever demands ASUU is making. The truth is, because of colonial mentality, we always thought that it was better to get educated abroad. And so even the lecturers, not just their children, have their theses, their PhDs and all of that in abroad school. So we already have that problem. But we were hoping, when we voted people in office, that these people, you know, they will say a leader of a country is the teacher of that country. You are an influence of that country. We're hoping that when they come in, policies and other, you know, motivations will make lecturers and even Nigerian citizens use Nigerian universities. But we see government every time. When ASUU has been on strike now, going to a year, the president now comes and says, enough is enough, ASUU go back. As if imagine President Buhari says, who is ASUU's president? All your ESCO members nationally, I want to meet you personally, because I'm seeing that my Minister for Labour, my Minister for Education, they are not doing anything. This strike, I am a father of Nigerian students and it's killing me that they are not bringing results to me. So come and tell me directly what your problems are. Don't build your stupid walls, high walls around you, and come out and it's only at Salah events that you'll be saying, enough is enough. That ASUU people go back to school as if you're talking to your children. It's like you having two children fighting, and you're saying, all of you, quiet, quiet. Oh, you want to kill that Dini? Without saying, uncle, what's your problem? What's your grievance? What is your grievance?
Let me help you with this, because our president himself, with his own mouth, said it in an article, said, age is telling on me. Working now for 6 to 7 to 8 hours per day in the office is no longer a joke. There are questions, addressing what you just said, there are questions of the executive councils, memos from many states, and even many states as possible to be considered virtually, and he lamented that the Nigerian, pretty much that there's a lot of workload. So that memo concerning ASUU, he may not have seen it because he's tired. There's so much stuff on this table.
Memo. You know,
so maybe that's why he has to call.
Professor Gambari might not carry the letter to him.
Professor Gambari?
No, Gambari.
Okay.
So let's assume that he did take a letter to him from any ASUU member. You as the president, it has been on the news, and I know there's a picture making the rounds of the president reading the paper. So just say you catch it on the first headline. Every morning you read your papers, and you catch it, and you are wondering, is it not this ASUU again? What are people doing? Okay, leave Ngige, leave whoever is in education. Let me see ASUU. Can you have them in the villa? Let ASUU talk to you. Okay, what exactly are the plans? I want a report. You're sitting as if, you see, like as if you're helpless. And you know that helplessness that the president is having, it's demoralizing and depressing of every Nigerian.
That body language doesn't help us. Let me come to work.
Then you already have all of you with the colonial mentality already enrolling your children. I just want to say to them, it is not all of them. All this
ASUU government.
It is not every convocation and matriculation of your child that parents attend. No, Murayo, I will say, no, let me finish.
Yes.
It's not every...
Your own child, you will not attend.
Yes. My parents, my dad was on contract when I matriculated. When I convocated, my mother wanted to cook. I refused.
And that is you.
Wait, you can't put that. Don't miss my point. It's not oxygen. You're acting as if I don't go there and take picture with this child, everything the family will crumble. You already give the child the education that the child needs. Can you go and sit down and face governance and
give
don't
us
let
a
the
different
picture surface?
I know what you're saying.
Wait, let me be sure I understand. Let me be sure I understand you. There are different sides of a man. He's a father, he's a governor, he's a brother, he's an uncle. So there are he's different parts. So to that boy, he's a father. He's not the governor of River State.
Unfortunately, while your son was graduating, you went to run for president and you're president. The president himself didn't attend his children's convocation. Yeah. It was his wife who did.
He's the president. He can't attend.
But we know, he was calculative of him not to even attend, because it would be worse off for a picture of the president whose country's ASUU is constantly on strike to show up at a foreign university smiling.
But it's just as bad that the first lady is also there.
It is insensitive to the number of the millions of Nigerian students whose parents are frustrated seeing them at home, getting into every vice around, wondering what will happen, what kind of country is this.
Let me go and break. When we come back, we'll come to White.
It's not oxygen, it's not do or die. It's not like you would die.
Stay with us, we'll be right back.
Stay tuned. Your View will be right back.
Thanks for staying with us. We're still discussing this issue of ASUU strike versus the fact that our president said enough is enough. He'd give a riot act to ASUU. Waike, your thoughts on this?
Well, my own is very simple. I don't want to talk too much. I just want to say it is not a sin to be tired. It is not a sin to want to leave office. The sin is staying there when you are incompetent. Staying there when you can't do the job. Staying there when you know you are too tired to do the job. First and foremost, you did 4 years, and you didn't know you were tired at that time. You went to go and do 8 years. Now you know you are tired, and everything is catching in front of you. This is somebody who, before he went into office, was reading the riot act to the previous administration. That, if you can't do ASUU, you are incompetent. You are not doing ASUU now. It was one of your political campaigns. And now you are there. For inside 8 years that you have spent, ASUU has been on strike for maybe 4. Doesn't make sense. I told you about my brother's adopted son that spent like 9 years in a 3-year course in university. It's not fair. It's not fair to these children. And when we keep on talking about our generational, the young children that we are turning out today, what is happening? They are turning to violent crime.
Absolutely.
Because they are not in school. Now, what I'm trying to say, the devil is a workshop for idle hands. And that is what is happening to our children.
But don't you think, Waike, that it's time for the federal government to concede, to just accept the UTAS in the interest of the children? Yes, you are insisting on this IPPS. You've been dragging it with these guys for so long. But if it's UTAS they're insisting on, for the sake of that child who is not doing anything at home, just accept the UTAS for now. Then maybe while they're still negotiating, because I know that was one of the major bone of contention for ASUU.
Well, this is it's beyond UTAS.
I hope
the issues that for ASUU are more than UTAS. They are talking about.
But I think that they approve UTAS. I think maybe they're willing to stop the strike.
ASUU will then resume and say, okay, now they're getting paid, but there are other issues. You know, one of the major things they were advocating was that the state of the universities, all the federal schools, go to the hostels. I'm even proud to be from a state university because we have a much more modern infrastructure. Go to the old federal schools. Everything is dilapidating. And they're just acting as if, no, it's beyond repair.
Well, now, if you argue that I'm giving them 40 billion, he argued that he has given them some money.
If we can take a loan to pay subsidy in this country,
we can
would have ended ASUU issue since forever. It is about sincere interests. Yeah. And the sincere feelings of the, sensitivity to the pains of your people that would make any leader aching to what has to come, not you again. Every year, what is it? So and you're a leader, you say you're tired. I have not heard you on ASUU directly. As the president has not said anything on ASUU directly. He's always been his spokesman, spokesperson, talk person, whatever person, but not him.
Let me come to Mariam. So we are obviously frustrated, but there's an issue of infrastructure decay. But the federal government is saying, we've paid them. Because I remember I read an article that the minister was saying we had paid, there was a tranche that was paid, but for some reason it's almost like they've not a drop in the ocean. Because this issue that ASUU is talking about is not just about ASUU, it's just the whole country as a whole. There's just so much to be done. There's so much decay that has gone over time. There's so many promises made by this administration, previous administration, that they haven't adhered to. And now we have found ourselves at a point where people are saying, you know what, it's either we get what we want or we're not moving forward. And really, at this point, the only way that we can move forward is if parties, as the federal government and ASUU, decide we need to come to a compromise for the sake of the children. We need to come to a compromise for the sake of Nigerians. Because
every side has something that, you know, that justifies their position right now. As the government says, we've given you a whole lot of money, we've given you 40 billion naira, even though it does not really solve the problem, but we have shown you a path that, you know, that we're willing to work towards it. ASUU is saying that there's just so much that needs to be done, and we cannot rely on your promises because you never keep to them. If the government and ASUU can just decide on maybe one or two things, the IPPIS and the UTAS, I just don't know why it's such a bone of contention, why we cannot meet somewhere in the middle. Can there be like a collaborative IPPIS UTAS that sort of appeals to government and ASUU so that these children can go back to school? It just does not make sense. Do you understand how unheard of it is to hear that a whole country has been that their children have been sitting at home for almost a year without school?
Over an app, as if the app was not designed by some human beings.
I was listening to one of the president's aides earlier today, and he was saying that it was the previous government that entered this agreement with ASUU in 2009 and has now left them to carry the burden of this ridiculous agreement. It didn't say ridiculous, but this agreement that they cannot meet. They have now left that burden to them. What is wrong with Nigerian leaders that they do not understand that government is a continuum?
Exactly. That's no matter the party.
If you agree to be a president or a governor or whatever you agree to be, whatever sin that previous government collected, you are going to collect it. You cannot keep on saying, it's them, it's them. You knew it was there. You knew the problem was there before you went. So there's an
argument. I was trying to look for what federal government is saying, YK, because they're saying, according to a report I'm hearing here from May 3rd, the 3rd of May 2022, said the federal government, to respond to what you said earlier, the federal government has limited resources and cannot borrow money to pay ASUU, saying that governments can only borrow money to fund infrastructure like railways and other critical infrastructure where it gets returns from. That's an argument. It says ASUU also can condemn the government's lack of resolve to end the strike, obviously, because they're not adhering to that MOU that was signed. So there's that issue of how do I borrow to pay salaries? That's the point of the government.
Okay, but ASUU is asking also for infrastructural, improvement. So borrow to do that infrastructure. If you're not paying the salaries, do that so that they can see that you're doing something for one of the agreements that you have already decided to. I don't even know about this.
I'd like to open our phone lines, YK. Please call us on 081-270-53687, 09139-07694. You can also tweet us at TVConnect. Please hashtag YourView. Now, I'd like us to link this conversation of ASUU to the fact that why are we upset when some of our leaders have children graduating abroad? Because these people, the children, many of these people, I know you, let me not say I'm not speaking for them, but some of them can argue that I am not paying my children's school fees abroad out of government money. This is money, in fact, my children haven't been in school before I became a government official. So on what basis should I not have my children go abroad? And why shouldn't I attend my graduation, as Nima said earlier? Am I not allowed to attend my child's graduation? Why are Nigerians angry that this is almost showing, it's coming to your face and putting it to your face that my children are abroad versus those children are living in Nigeria? You have taken up a responsibility. You are father of the nation, father of the states.
It's you that left your family to come and...
You are not the father of your children alone. No. Look, I had a father who, he did not differentiate from his children from the people around him. We were all in the same boat. You all called him by his name, and everybody, there was no difference. When you take up responsibility to be father of a nation or father of a state, you take up the responsibility to put your children, don't stop giving them what you want to give them, but you cannot be seen to favor one against the other. You have 4 children. Can you see, is it acceptable for you to favor one child against the other 3? What will happen? Anarchy in your house.
Okay. Let me take this call from Hassan. Good morning, Hassan. Are you there?
Good morning, everybody, and happy Salah to all of you.
Yes, sir.
Good morning.
Please, You see, I disagree with Mr. President. In his speech, where he said enough is enough. This has to do with the executives and the ASUU, in which he is part of the executives. Mr. President should come to a round table with the ASUU. I'm not holding brief for the ASUU because ASUU has its own share of the blame in what is happening now. You see, you cannot dictate to an employer. There is a maxim in law that says a willing employee cannot impose his will on a willing employer. There should be respect. The ASUU cannot be dishing out orders to federal government. The federal government should do the needful. Look, it's very, very unfortunate in this country. Their children, the president's children are schooling abroad. The governor's children are schooling abroad. A legislator came to the floor to say that, look, let us have a law that will ban everybody from taking his children abroad. Our legislators we voted for, voted against that patriotic bill. Very, very unfortunate. Mr. President should sit up. ASUU should sit up.
All right. So, Governor, according to the Minister, Chris Ngige, Minister of Labour and Employment, he did confirm, I'm reading an article from, trying to get the date here, is in May 2022, saying that the government indeed has paid up to 92 billion as part of the implementation of the agreements reached with the union back in December 2022. So, from what I'm seeing in what we're reading is that the federal government has somewhat met ASUU halfway. And we can debate what is halfway because this is a number of years of dilapidation across the federal universities. So we don't know how much or how far 92 billion would go or have gone. But the other critical issues, aside from this money that has been paid, is the IPBIS versus user. That's why I keep saying, because federal government has given some money, if they also further concede to accepting UTAS, we might see ASUU call off the strike. Because obviously money it's not as if federal government was totally mute and not give them anything. They have given some money. So something has been done. It wasn't as if
200 billion naira
that was agreed in 2009,
that was
right?
agreed in 2009.
Yes.
If the federal government themselves are saying that, globally, because, energy crisis, the cost of naira is dwindling, cost of dollar is going up, here is it 200 billion that they will still pay ASUU. I'm not holding ASUU's brief here. I'm just saying that the government should stop being insincere in this matter. And because the Minister for Labour will say today, tomorrow he will say doctors can go. He's not a reliable person to give us information that has clarity that I can rely on about this issue between us and federal government.
So who should give that information?
So at this point, just because I cannot rely on him anymore, I think the president should say, ASUU, come, let's see you. Let me know exactly what it is that is giving you people these issues, because my citizens, students who are above 18 are voting that, are already should be productive, are at home and wasting, and I don't think it is right. Because you can't keep talking from your comfort zone. As Miriam said, the most embarrassing is this UTAS and IPPIS. These are apps, that are supposed to help you trace and, curb a lot of excesses with it. These are created by humans. Are you saying that there are lack of geniuses that can bring together the differences between these two and merge it? Okay. Or you could call ASUU in and see what ASUU's own is like and see whether you can adopt it or not. It is because the designers of this thing are already entered contracts with them and they say, what about my court or the consultants and co are the ones making this thing hard.
Let's not make that generalization.
Allow me my opinion, please. Because why is this still an issue and somebody's child is at home? And then you will now come and say Nigerian youths are lazy. They don't want to work. These children that you are demoralizing and demotivating every day by allowing people to sit at home, we will now be advising our own relatives. Go and learn this skill. Go and, this is unfair. We are not projecting. That's why I say we should not even be talking about population contribution to what population at all in 2050. We should not.
Well, I think it's our priority. Let me go on
this matter.
When I come back,
I'm confused. We are not planning.
Stay with us. We'll be right back.
Stay tuned. Your View will be right back.
Thanks for staying with us. We're still discussing ASUU. I know Wike wanted to go first on the topic.
I wanted to go first. I've forgotten what I was going to say.
Let me take a few comments on social media. Yeah. So for Ellen Toba was saying that naturally this ASUU strike should give a compassionate president sleepless nights. Thoughts of how idle minds will be recruited and increasing insecurity should make ASUU strike priority. Does the president not have a checklist or to-do list? Does he not have regular briefs on state of key issues? Even my 7-year-old son knows that ASUU strike is a big issue because his teenage brother is home all day, not going to school.
Yes, we have more. Aina Ayodiji says, ASUU as a body is insensitive. Is it not obvious government can't fund education at tertiary level? Why is ASUU not canvassing for privatization of universities? If they've done this since 2010, we will not be here now. Immaculate Boy says, the present ASUU federal government MOU of 2009 will not work even if Jesus is president in this present-day Nigeria. The thing to do is privatize universities, fund student loan boards per region. This will allow private sector interest in universities.
Okay. Favor Olumodeji says, I'm very well affected by the ongoing ASUU strike. They said we should learn a trade, but I am even confused because it can be called off at any time. The government does not care about its subjects. Nigerian leaders are incompetent.
Okay, let me take Dayo from K2. I'll come to you, Nima. Good morning, Dayo. Are you there from K2?
Good morning, Morai.
You're live. Go ahead, please. You're live.
Hello?
You're live. Go ahead, please.
Can you hear me?
Very clearly.
Okay. My name is Dayo. I'm calling from K2. Now, I believe... Can I continue?
Please do. We can hear you. I think he's listening to the TV. I have to call.
All right. My name is Dayo. I'm calling from K2. All right. I'm a first-time caller.
Welcome to the show.
Okay. Now, I believe we must have an historical understanding of what is happening in the educational sector in Nigeria. Now, I went to school during the glory days of education in Nigeria, starting from 1978 or so. Now, anybody in my generation must have been taught by a Ghanaian. There was a time, I think, when Shagari government came in, we said that all the Ghanaians must leave Nigeria. Now, the Ghanaians left around 1979, 1980, between that time and 83, and there was no manpower within Nigeria to fill that vacuum. Now, that was the beginning of the rot in that sector. If you bear me with me, Nigerians now go to Ghana, send their children to Ghana for quality education.
Yes.
Now, has it ever occurred to us that within such a short time, the Ghanaians were able to turn around their educational sector? Now, this is not rocket science. Whether they used money, whether they used manpower, but probably the same manpower that we lost in Nigeria, we are the same ones that went back to Ghana and developed their educational sector. Now, that is one side. Now, if we now look at the policy side, I do some trainings for state governments. I asked at a point in time when I was doing training for teachers, I said, how many of you teachers here have your children schooling in public schools in Lagos? None of them, except maybe one or two. And I'm talking about over 50-something teachers. Now, if you are producing what your own children cannot consume, then there is a problem. Now, which brings us back to the issue of quality manpower for the teaching sector, not only in the secondary schools, but also in the universities. Now, how did we get there? That brings us back to JAMB. There was a time in this country that if you score anything below 200, you cannot enter any university in this country. Yeah. Now, it now got to a time that they will now ask, what is your JAMB score? They will say they scored 180-something. And they say, okay, will you go to education faculty? Education faculty now became a dumping ground for people that did not succeed, people who don't even have a passion to teach. Okay. Now, I don't want to belabor that issue. That is why we now found people managing, in the educational sector in Nigeria who don't even have a passion for teaching at all. Now, let's look at the political sector. It got to a time also in this country, please, I will soon be over, in this country, that I remember a former vice president by the name of Augustus Ihomu made a statement when this ASUU strike began then in the 80s, that education is not a productive sector, so why should they throw in money there?
Wow.
Now, look at what is happening now. We find a situation where political...
Thank you so much, Mr. Dio. Right, see, there's also, I hear the federal government argument, and I definitely hear ASUU's argument. But we must not also forget the fact that White TET Fund was created, that's the tertiary education trust fund that was created in 2011, especially for this issue of corruption, alleged corruption within the universities. So federal government gives you money, and the money doesn't trickle down. So this fund was created to disburse money and manage the educational tax that was given to universities. Now, if we also want to probe what TET Fund is using or doing with the money, how much is TET Fund getting, how much are the universities actually getting? These are various layers. So it goes back to alleged accusation of corruption across board. So we can argue and say, oh, federal government is not doing their own part. But we, the people, also, we have a responsibility to ensure that these monies get to the universities, and those who even receive the money do exactly what they're supposed to do with the money. Because if we ask, let us probe this 92 billion, what have you used it to do? What exactly was done? What infrastructure was built? Let us even review how 92 billion was spent.
Murayo, if I go back to this, you will say I'm always, you see, let me say you are Mr. Brown, I will use you as example now. You have 4 children. Now, every night, they see you, both of you come in drunk, you stagger, cry, you fall out. One will sleep on the couch, the other one will sleep in the toilet. You do that for 1 year. What will become of your children? They will just become, as you said, God forbid you be like that, but they will become almost as useless as their parents. Maybe one inside will say, I don't want this kind of life. The remaining 3 will follow your footsteps. It is the same thing with governments. We are watching when successive governments have been corrupt. It is inside this dispensation that AGF has been accountant general, 80 billion, and then 70
How
billion,
much is that?
100 and something billion, one person. Now, even alleged.
But they don't sack him.
Even if you don't believe that he took it, enter his account. If you see that money, hold it. Because then it is Nigeria's money. Now, when people keep watching and seeing the trend of government, people follow. So, because you have said it, government is the leader, government is the parent, government is the influencer overall of Nigeria. Now, if you are not, and then when we now follow you, we are bad. If you start to live by example, automatically, people will follow. I remember this same Buhari, when he was leader in 1984, when he said war against indiscipline, people who are probably too young, war against indiscipline, everybody must queue. Everybody was queuing. And you can't go anywhere and say anybody shunting. It is the people that will say, hey, come, go on. Because everybody believed that the government was
Mikey, we have to wrap up
on
this conversation. But see, as much as I think we keep reiterating or reinforcing the anomaly that the presidency is the all-in-all. It's not so.
I didn't say president.
No, because
I didn't blame president.
Leadership is in different layers. Even to the point of the vice chancellor of a university, the responsibility of the vice chancellor, how much he gets, how much he disburses, even to the level of the teachers. We are all responsible, and that's my own point. Yes, ASUU strike is ongoing, but it's not just about the federal government or even about ASUU himself. Every single layer has a responsibility to this. So until we all wake up to the reality that we must take our children and make them priority, we will continue to be in this circle.
You are missing my point.
This is the point. You know, all of us are responsible.
Absolutely.
But not all of us are empowered by law to do.
Absolutely.
So we are voted and empowered by law-setting offices. You now vie for that office. You come back, you say, on subsidy, I'm helpless. On security, helpless. They kidnap them, we are helpless. You are still helpless with ASUU. Helpless is your title.
You know, someone made a post, I can't find it, but he was just basically saying, see, whatever that needs to be said about federal government and ASUU, we have said it. over and over again. We know what it is. All we're looking for right now is action.
Solution.
So
And we should be
needs to
aware
take
that,
a
you know,
step.
Somebody must concede.
That's it.
let's
Someone has
to close it. The future of Nigerians is at stake. With ASUU strike lingering, most of these Nigerian students might graduate at the age of 31, making it impossible for them to go for NYSC because they will be above 30. They will come out frustrated and confused. What next? Crime. God save
Nigerian
us.
service construct the most negative
No,
reality.
no,
but it's not about
But we have to wrap up.
It is not about constructing negative reality.
Okay.
This is a projection.
It is your
Based on your
reality.
plan.
It is their reality.
We have to wrap up, unfortunately. That's all we can take on this issue of ASUU strike. When we come back to our next segment, it's an ongoing conversation. I'm sorry, Lynn.
Enough is enough.
Enough, yes. Let's reiterate what our president said. Enough is enough. Stay with us. We'll be right back.
Stay tuned. Your View will be right back.